I'm back. In mid-July we went on a short break to France, Disneyland Paris to be exact, and decided to go sightseeing in the city on a couple of days. Unfortunately, however, it was the day after Bastille Day, so Paris was extremely busy. The Eiffel Tower and the Louvre were completely booked up, and getting around the city in an Uber was a nightmare with all the road closures due to the Olympics. So for our second day in Paris we headed straight to Boulevard Voltaire to check out one or two retro game shops. Little did we know, however, we would end up spending nearly the whole day exploring these wonderful game boutiques. So we had a bit of a rocky start to our holiday as EasyJet cancelled our flight, and we only found out this when we got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we headed to the airport anyway because there was nobody available to speak to at that time in the morning. And the guy said the next flight from Manchester to Paris was at 7:30 the following evening. So that was 2 days out of our holiday wasted. So we took matters into our own hands, got a train to Manchester and then hauled ass to London Euston and then caught the Eurostar, which, if you don't know, is a train that goes under the sea. And we arrived in Paris about 3 hours later. So that's why I didn't really buy much, because I still wasn't sure if our flight home would get cancelled like the flight into Paris, or whether we would have to go back on the Eurostar. But luckily I didn't really buy much, and it's a good job because we did actually fly back. Now normally I would group the games I bought into their formats, so all the Master System games first, and then all the Mega Drive and then SNES, etc. But for this one I'm going to show them in the order that I bought them. And the first shop I actually bought anything from was Retro Gameplay, and I only noticed after I'd gotten this bag they also own the shop All Geeks, which is also on Boulevard Voltaire. And the first game I got is on the Master System. In fact, they're both on the Master System, and I could have bought this for a lot cheaper from the UK, but I think because it was there and it was complete and it was in front of me, I just paid the €20. And it's not a game I'm overly fond of. I've got a love-hate relationship with it, but it is the classic Strider. Released by Capcom in 1989, Strider is an arcade action platformer that was ported to several home computers and consoles. Set in the year 2048, the Earth is ruled by the evil Grandmaster Mayo, and it's your job as the Super A-Class Strider to put an end to his plan to take over the universe. As you can probably tell, the Master System version suffers from terrible slowdown, especially when there's a lot happening on screen, causing the game's frame rate to drop. It's because of this, Strider on the Master System is often regarded as the poorest console port of the game. So like I said, it's complete with the manual, and there's a little bit of damage to the front cover of the plastic, the outer plastic. It looks like there's been a sticker on there in the past and someone's tried a little bit too hard to peel it off and gouged the plastic. And next up is a game you saw me talking about in that second episode in Retro Gameplay, and this is a little bit sun faded, and I wish I'd not bought it because I saw it in better condition in full 7, but it is what it is. It was a little bit cheaper than full 7, but like I said, it was in better condition in full 7, and that is My Hero on the Sega card. Seishun Scandal is a Japanese arcade beat-em-up released in 1985. The following year it got ported to the Master System as My Hero, initially on the Sega card and was later released on cartridge. Now when I first saw this game I thought, oh, a nice basic early beat-em-up, must give that a go. It's one of the most frustrating, unforgiving side-scrollers I've ever played. Honestly, I had flashbacks to when I used to rage at Green Beret as a kid. Your only defence is a jump kick, crouch kick and punch. Get hit 3 times and you're out. 3 lives, no health bar and no continues. And apparently there's bulldogs, frogs and even pigs to contend with later on in the game, but unfortunately I didn't last long enough to see those. And that is complete, of course, with the instructions, except for the little plastic sleeve that holds the card in the case. So without that sleeve it just like rattles about like that, so I'll try and pick one up off eBay, whether it's an original or a replica. And the next game I got from the last shop, so full 7, and you probably saw me gushing over this in the last video. I was hoping to find another game on this system, but there's only 2 copies known to exist, and those guys just refuse to dump the ROM. So I just had to settle for Robocop 2 on the GX4000. So if you had a smash hit game like Ocean did in 1988 with the original Robocop, and you obtained the license to make the sequel, would you stick with the winning formula of great run and gun action, or just make it a frustrating platformer with all manner of hazardous objects such as spikes, circular saws, barrels, well at least I think they're barrels, very little enemies to shoot at and no power-ups for your gun? No? Me neither. But Ocean did it anyway. I mean, it looks great, but if you want to get anywhere in this game, you have to memorise the patterns of the obstacles and traps and play it over and over and over again, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get to see some actual action. Of course, it's complete, and I just love the way how the cartridge just sort of like pops out when you open the case. It's got the little hang tab, and I'm not sure why they have a handle there. I think it's meant to be a handle, but I suppose you could stick some butties in there and a penguin biscuit and take it to school and say, look at me, I've got a Robocop 2 lunchbox. Anyway, the last shop I bought games from was actually the first shop in the first episode, so I went back to Trader Games because I was having a long, hard think about buying this game, and I had to buy it because I've never actually seen it in the wild. I've only ever seen it on eBay, and it goes for a lot more than what I paid, and that is Super Back to the Future 2 on the Super Famicom. After a spate of subpar games based on Back to the Future 2 by Imageworks in 1990, Toshiba EMI hit a home run with Super Back to the Future Part 2 in 1993. The Japanese exclusive sees a permanently hoverboarding anime-style Marty as he makes his way through 6 stages inspired by the events of the film, all the while creepily staring at you. No, seriously, he doesn't take his eyes off you, except for when he's somersaulting or dead. I mean, why is he staring at me even in the cutscenes? He can't take his eyes off me. The only moves Marty has is jumping into a somersault, which is how you defeat the enemies in game, and a dash, which just makes Marty move quicker, but this isn't wise, as you always end up colliding with objects that drain your energy, such as spikes or trash cans. A rock-solid game, but still fun if you're a fan of the franchise. Now, I think the reason why this was so cheap, I was going to say so cheap, it was €250, but I think the reason why it was cheaper than most copies of the game is because of the huge amount of sun fading on the box. I mean, the guy did say, you know, are you happy with the condition of the box because of the amount of sun fading? But it's not too bad on that side, and I think that's the side that would face out on the shelf as opposed to that side. But yeah, I'm happy, it's complete. The only thing is, it doesn't work on my Super Nintendo, even though I've got one of those adapters. It's just like a glitchy, garbled mess. And this, I think it's my Super Nintendo because I have the same issue when I play Alien 3, the European Alien 3. So all my other Super Nintendo games work fine, but this with the adapter and Alien 3 is just like a garbled, blocky mess. And I know it's not the cartridge because I tested the Alien 3 cartridge in someone else's Super Nintendo and it worked fine. So yeah, got the instructions, all in Japanese of course, and a little leaflet thing there. Not sure what it says, but I'll use Google Translate on my phone to see what that is about. It's something to do with a plug. And of course the cartridge, which still has the original bag. But yeah, love the game, hard as balls, and all I can say is thank God it has a password system, because I don't think I would have seen much of the game. And the final game is another game on the Master System, also bought from Trader Games. I did ask for a discount because I was paying so much for Back to the Future, and he knocked €10 off this one, which is better than nothing. And it's one of the first Master System games I ever played, if not the first Master System game I ever played. And this is in really nice condition, I've just noticed. It is missing the hang tab though, which is a shame. And that is Spy versus Spy on the Sega card. Spy vs. Spy was originally written for the Commodore 64 and published by First Star Software in 1984. Based on Mad Magazine's long-running comic strip, Spy vs. Spy is a split-screen two-player game where you have to outwit your opponent by setting booby traps to slow them down. Then be the first to find all 4 items needed to escape in a waiting airplane. Over the years, Spy vs. Spy has been released on more than 15 different consoles and home computers and spawned 2 sequels. And of course it's complete, and it's even got the little clear plastic sleeve for the card. And even though I'm not really a fan of Spy vs. Spy, when I played this the other day, a lot of memories came flooding back to when I used to play it 30 odd years ago with my friend, and just little things like when you take off in the plane at the end, the plane goes in front of the menu screen at the side. So yeah, I think this is the definitive version of Spy vs Spy. I've only ever played it on the Master System and I think on the Commodore 64, maybe the Amstrad. But yeah, this is a great conversion. So there we go, I only bought 5 games, and like I said, I didn't want to risk buying more just in case we were flying home, and obviously we flew home. If we'd gone back on the Eurostar, I probably would have bought a lot more, but it does give me an excuse to go back, and when I do, I'm definitely going back to Full 7. And like I said, it's the best retro game shop I've ever been to so far. I haven't been to Forgotten Worlds in Scotland yet, so that is on my list, so I will be visiting Scotland someday. But Alan is going to Play Expo in October, hopefully, and I've already got my tickets booked and the hotel, so keep an eye out for those Play Expo videos. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, au revoir!